Well, I know, hello. Well, tonight, folks, I'm taking the back seat. Tonight, Bri is up, so I'll let Bri do the introduction while I share out.
Okay, so tonight, guys, we've got the hostess with the mostest, Lewis Haddo. We've also got Mr. Ian Varro. That rhymes a little bit, don't it? You've got me, Bri, with the gob. And joining us tonight is Mr. Brian Baker from Haunted Homes UK. Going to let him do quite a bit of chatting, so it'll probably be red bit time we've done. We do interact, as you know, folks. We do interact. Any questions, whatever, give us a shout, and we'll answer your questions best we can. Over to you, Brian. Give us your introduction. What you do and where do you go and what do you do?
I'm Brian. I mainly do private home investigations, but I love abandoned locations. So
Here's my boy.
And I go anywhere. I like to go. I like to explore them. I like to walk around and see how I feel when I'm walking around and if I pick up on anything and just how I feel going around the place. I like to touch the places, the buildings and walls and just see how it feels. So so that's what I do. I go to places that I feel that I'm going to pick up some good paranormal activity.
Yeah, you do a little bit. Unlike a lot of people, you tend to revisit a place quite a few times to build a rapport with spirit, and to be able to get the best out of the place, really, spirit-wise and everything else. And is it true that you take your dog with you?
I occasionally take my dog with me. I take my dog with me exploring, but very rarely I'll take him out on investigations because you just never know. I don't want it running off. So, but every now and then, if it's a place that I feel I can't be on my own, then I will take my dog with me.
Yeah, I should have elaborated on that. Yeah, I should have elaborated on that.
But yeah, the place I like to go, it's in Yorkshire. I think I've been about 30 times. I'm going back tomorrow night as well. So, I mean, at the end of the day, paranormal investigations, all we want is to get good activity, valid activity, and that place is just amazing. And it's 15 minutes down the road from me. And they are used
There's that riot in the chat.
Good evening.
Brian, never talk to this guy. He's a baldy bastard. Tries to steal my staff. Don't even want to talk to him.
I just missed out there as well, Nick. You just came on as I was doing the introductions there. And we've got Nick Millay from America. There's a posh one. He's from America on Things Network, you know. And he turns up when he feels like it, basically. He'll come on when he wants to, really.
Well, it's also because I got home late today from work. It was a really busy day for me. So usually I would get here early, but again, work kind of got to me pretty good this afternoon.
Yes, we are looking for
Scott.
Listen, Nick is Team Lois, no Team Scott. Hey, Bobby, long time no see.
Bobby?
Nick, call me Gorilla Glue.
But yeah,
I absolutely love dogs, especially German Shepherds. It's the one thing I miss.
Yeah, good dog. Looks after me.
Oh.
So, tell us a little bit more about this backward box.
So, the backwards box, it's a PSB 7. And as you know, sweet radios, ghosts and spirits can speak through the white noise. But the white noise is the loudest part of the audio and it drowns out everything. So how the box works, I can reduce the white noise or even fully remove it. But that depends on how strong the spirit is then to come through. It's got other pedals. And it reverses the speech. So everything that comes out, so if it's like Robert, it'll come out backwards. So it just removes any chance of getting some false positive answers.
It's no good for me then, is it? It could come out with tree ball. It's my middle name.
But it's perfect for me because that's what I work off. I like to hear them and I like to talk to them and communicate with them, and that's perfect evidence for me. It's what I use on my private home investigations. I did one 3 weeks ago. They wanted to know is my house haunted. I got the names of who were there, how many were there, why they were there, what was on the land before. And they were now spirits, so they're going to happily live with these now. We've set some boundaries because they've got children, and they'll stick to that. And if not, then I'll have to go and remove them. But everything's all right. So that took me 3 weeks to sort of start the investigation and finish it off. So I'm looking forward to getting back out now, Bright. It's been too long since I've gone out on my own and sat in dark.
Yeah, well, that's basically what I do. But you also do same as Ian, and I've done private investigations and whatever. I don't do as many as Ian does. Ian's the professional amongst us, but I do business.
Don't give a big head, Christ's sake. Can't resist the cheek just comes out me. I've got a big bag of cheek tonight, especially for you.
Oozes out.
Yes.
It's like ectoplasm.
No, normally at wrong time.
Yeah.
I was a good girl last night. Nick, vouch for me here, love.
Sorry, what was that?
Jesse, he's ignoring you.
I was a good girl last night.
A text message.
Yeah, Nick's got his BS filter on.
It was pretty good.
See? Yeah. So I'm a bit like you, Brian. I really like to hear spirit interact, and I must admit I like the spirit box. I do really like it. My other favourite piece of equipment, and I always swear by it because I've used it many a time. I've said this to Ian. I don't need to even look down to know what your spatials will be. But I like the Panasonic, the small Panasonic. I've had quite good results from that.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Is spirit responses is brilliant. I've had brilliant spirit responses.
I've had good trigger object responses, but then you think, is it the environmental conditions? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're standing on an hard floor, is it you? And so I just think if you can get some really good audio out of them, that's probably the best you're going to get. Apart from catching them on photos and pictures, and which is really rare, isn't it?
Which is also good evidence that I've captured as well. Well, I've been there when we've captured it. It's always been a team effort. Always good to have a good team.
I say that, Louise.
How many did you have in your team, bro?
I've had as many as 8, but also I've had as little as 1, which is me, myself, and I. I tend to work on my own. So if I've got a good group, or I'll do collabs, there's times when I've done quite a few collabs. Like if we hadn't have been when I first met you at Ridgely, if I hadn't have met you coming, we'd already come out, and I was at it. Yeah, and if we'd have been in or on his way in, I'd have collabed with you. But as it happened, it didn't work out that way. But we will do in the future.
Yeah, I do like going out on my own, mate. I love being on my own in these places. I think it's less invasive for them as well because it's just one person. But it's like Brad said, I like to go numerous times because it just gets better and better every time you go. It's
and I suppose it gives spirit continuity as well. And I know that sounds daft, But I think that's a good thing, because if you're taking people in with you, at least to know one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a go-to place. I've got to admit, I've got one go-to place, and I've spoke to the kid that many times that we do have rapport. I just sit on a bench in this cemetery and have a natter. And he asked me early doors. He said he didn't want publicity. He didn't want me telling everybody about him and everything else. He was happy to have the 3 or 4 people, and he wouldn't tell me who these other people were, by the way, that come and visit him and have a natter. And he enjoyed that. And that's all he wanted. He didn't want moving on. He didn't want anything. In exchange for a natter, he used to tell me what we're going off in cemetery. That's fine by me.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
One of the comments has caught my eye, right, is the next. Someone should do reports on the findings at private investigations, but with the names and addresses removed. I find private house hauntings fascinating. Believe it or not, Annette, the first time that I was ever away did do reports and still does reports to their investigations. And that's always inspired me to, if I'm out and about, to do things like that, only because obviously no many people can get out, and it's been even worse since COVID. So it's good that obviously, like, if they can read it, if obviously they've missed investigations, and it is interesting reads. I love reading all about it.
If all parties, past and present, are in agreement for publicity, then I don't mind doing a story or whatever. But unless all parties are in agreement, it stays private. It stays to me and people.
You could, if you did want to do a report that way, you wouldn't even need to put the place's name. You'd put undisclosed location.
Yeah.
And make sure you write the report.
I would know that. I'd know that I'd given details. And that to me, that's just, personally, that's just a no-no. I get what she's saying, though. Like, it's fantastic. If people are in agreement, and there will be a lot that's in agreement, that's fine.
Terry Powilly prefers private investigations. Mark says it's the best way sometimes. So totally agree with you, but sometimes it's needed. Personal experiences are great with spirits. Irene says if you rely too much on mechanic equipment, some spirits don't like equipment and they would much rather you talk to them. Bobby says I only do private homes or business. I don't do paid venues.
No, I don't.
Irene, I do residentials and I do spirit sessions with the clients and the departed families. I also never charge a fee. I look at it as a service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never charged. My team never have either.
No.
That's,
me neither. Me neither. Apart from fish and chips. And I had to make. I had to disclose everything, so I did. And it turned out that, there was activity more than the geezer actually realised. He was being manipulated himself. And he didn't like that fact because he entered into this contract for publicity, to get his chippy on the map type of thing, because it was failing, business was failing, and it backfired on him. So, hey,
Brian, can I ask, what's your favourite location? What's the best location you've ever done?
Probably the one I'm going to tomorrow in Yorkshire. I just love the place. It was owned by the same family for 500 years. So much history to the place, and it's a shame the place is falling down. But it's such a beautiful building inside, and it's just active. It's not just talking. It's movement. It's knocking. It's banging. You can feel them moving around you. You can see shadows. It's you go on a stormy night and you're in for a really, really good night. It's very, very active, and I don't feel threatened. I mean, the amount of times I've been asked to leave and get out and growled at, and They just got used to me now. They just think it's that bloke. He's turned up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, Brian, that when they've done that, you've left. You said, "Well, thank you. I'll leave it at that, but I will be back." And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I do as well. And they do get used to it.
Yeah. Well, last time I said, "Can I come back?" And he went, "Maybe leave." And I got that. You know, I got the footage, and I recorded what used to happen when I finished recording. He'd really come at me, the dominant spirit. He'd really start shouting at me. So I just thought one night, yeah, I'm just going to stick my phone there on corner. So I did, and I said, right, I've finished now, and I turned my main camera off. And within seconds, he were giving it plenty. And I thought, I've got you now. You know what I mean? So I put that on as well, and some really good stuff. But I have a lot of sympathy for them. They were a really good family. They did a lot for the town, and such a shame to see such a once stunning building just. It's up for sale, but it's just going to get knocked down, And I do ask them,
that is a problem. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful buildings, not just across Scotland, but across like England and Wales and Ireland that are also beautiful that are just left to rot. And the one that I always big up is Lennox Castle, which was a mental hospital, and was a beautiful big building, and when you go in now, you just see the wreckage, and you're just like, "Holy God!" It's just like buildings. Why would you leave buildings to go to that state?
Yeah, it's listed buildings. Once they're listed, it's the death of them, isn't it? It costs so much money to put them back to how they were. But I do think. Sorry, Bra. I know I get some really good activity, but I will say I'm very spiritual. I sit in development and awareness circles, and I'm a committee member at Rottenstall Spiritualist Church, so I do put that down to it as well. You know what I mean? That I am trying.
Thanks for joining the show.
I'm trying to open myself up more, so I'm getting a better experience for myself, and it's easier for them to interact with me.
Yeah.
No, but it's difficult. I mean, it's hard, but I've been doing it quite a while now, and I go every week. I go to 2 different ones, and I just do my best. They're all nice people that I've met, so it's very comfortable. And some things I get right, some things I don't, But I'm very good at touching things, electromagnetic fields. I can pick them up in different locations if they feel different. And if I touch things, I can sort of pick bits and pieces up for them. So I am trying that way as well. I want to be more spiritual as well as a paranormal investigator.
You are what's in the field known as an environmental psychic.
Absolutely.
You can pick ages up and things like that just by touching stone.
Well, it's more what's gone on and names. I'm pretty good at picking the odd name up and stuff. And but it's always good to know the history of somewhere as well, isn't it? And when you go, just say how wonderful the buildings were, and it must have been beautiful to live here. The nicer you are with them, and the more they will interact with you. If they think they're really interested, he's really interested in our home, and they'll come forward and they'll speak with you, and just be respectful.
Exactly.
He's run after the girlfriend.
It's called being genuine, and there's not a lot. We've come across quite a few fakers these days.
Yeah.
Which is not good, but that's another story.
Mark says he picks things up through touching buildings and grounds. He loves it. Yeah. Irene says, the comments are going dead slow tonight. There are loads of buildings and young people trash them, so they get torn down, which is a shame because there's plenty of paranormal activity in them, but they're not respected enough. This is so true.
Yeah.
Bobby has been a trained and certificate psychologist investigator. I could charge like a plumber or carpenter would, but I choose not to. I do it to help people living in fear.
Yeah. That's exactly why I do it, because I used to be one of those people who grew up in a haunted house. And when you become a victim of it, you realise that there's help needed out there, which is why I stick with my team and do what I do. So
who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Right.
Well, I was quite saying.
Except Lois.
What did you just say, you creepy bastard? I'll
that's
be
really
that
good.
eye.
It'd be like having the Conjuring in your house, wouldn't it? Inviting
Yeah.
those.
Well, that's good, that Ian, because I got brought up in an haunted house, and I had the same experience as it. And you've nowhere to. I mean, I'm 50, so back in them days, no one believed you, and you just had to put up with it. So
Yeah,
Aye, exactly.
in our area, we had Andrew Green, and my parents actually spoke to him, and he sort of gave a bit of advice. But what more could we have done back then? It was 70s.
apart from move house, and that were never affordable, were it? So it
No,
was.
And the problem is, back then, like, if you spoke to people about paranormal or things like that, it wasn't as spoke about. Like, you would think people would think you were crazy, but
Yeah.
now it's like a lot more spoke about, and it's more like, don't get me wrong, I get the odd jibe through my pals or through my family calling me a ghostbuster and things like that.
Not being funny, Lars, but our house was so active that we didn't have to tell people. We just invited them round.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I actually thought that was going to be a cheeky comment there towards me.
No.
So that's why I have by my tongue.
We had activity on a daily occurrence, and quite a lot. You know, we had apparitions, really heavy footsteps up the staircase daily, and all sorts of things being moved. It just happened all the time. So you only had to invite people round. I mean, most of our family friends knew the house was haunted just through their own experiences. So.
Heidi says, just make sure you're alone in the shower. Those peeping ghosts will drive you bonkers.
Yeah, especially when they're right on the mirror.
Can I ask you a question, Ian?
Yep.
When you do your private home investigations, do you have any stipulations for them? What they can and can't do?
I generally don't do Ouija boards. I mean, we will basically go in, ask them what's going on, what they interpret is going on, and then we'll focus on hotspot areas, and we'll just see what happens. I mean, we'll try the audio stuff first. We'll have cameras set up in any hotspots, and it's just a case of what gets us answers.
Yeah.
We're willing to try anything, but Ouija board generally would be a last resort.
See, I asked for a log. They've got to do a log for a month, all the activity in the areas. And the other stipulation is only the people who live there can be in the house when I'm there.
Yeah.
No children. They've got to take the children away, babysitting or just get them to the nans. But no, I don't want strangers in there because the ghosts and spirits interact with them. So me coming in or you coming in on your team, it changes the dynamic enough for out like, well, Bob from next door's coming and Linda wants to have a look up street, and so I just say just family only. Whoever lives in that house, they're the ones that have to be there when I'm there. And apart from the children.
But you're pretty much like me. Then you like to keep the family in the home, which a lot of people don't, and it seems like we're a minority in that. But we get more answers, more responses because they're in the house.
Absolutely. Well, that's who they interact with, isn't it? So
exactly.
and I usually put them in the hottest spot. So, for example, but yeah, I put them in the place where they seem to get the most activity themselves. Put them in there and wait for that time as well, because there's usually a time involved. Oh, it's 10:30 on the dot. We'll stick them in the chair then at 10:30 on the dot, and I'll be round, and we'll see what we can get. There's loads and loads of common sense things, really, isn't there, when you're doing investigations? But it's surprising how many people do not do that. They've got their own itinerary, and hey, that was big. I got it out.
Hey, Chantel. Chantel, I can't do the whole Dan Winters thing, so you just have to make the
Dan
way.
can
Hi,
do that.
Chantel. Or maybe we'll see.
You're not gonna sing to Chantel. Oh, I don't know.
You know,
I can't
you know what we need to. You know what we need to do is we got to talk to Dan at some point, and he's got to make like a audio recording of him singing that song, so that way whenever he's not around, we can just play it for him.
I'm still waiting.
I'm gonna remix it for him.
Listen, I'm still waiting for the picture of Dan going like this. Sent to me. I really like that.
Right, he came over to them.
Oh, yeah. He's just a pain in the arse. And by the way, this is just a normal Friday night, Brian. We had a lodger when I was a kid who packed up and left in the night because of what he saw. That's not so good.
I'm surprised I never did. I spent 11 years in that house, and I'm surprised I never walked out the first day.
The peak goes
I was just thinking that's not saying a lot for Annette, though, is it?
No, I just don't touch the board. I don't know why.
What were you showing him, Annette? What were you showing him?
Mark says, I still need to live in a haunted house. The only thing we get here is a cat who died through years ago. You can hear him jump off the sides in the kitchen. I've even moved to avoid him, but nothing apart from that. He came over to us. The biggest part of any study with Bobby is the interview. Asking multiple questions and trying to narrow down what exactly is happening. Is it a spirit or is it a living person creating activity in that situation? I try to narrow it down to a single person. Is it a haunting or residue energy? Tons of variables. Irene says if you Nick laughing, which makes me think Scott's got a cheeky comment on all the comments down below. If you're with a client,
he does.
Save it for a surprise. If you're with a client, it's their house and they have to be in the house and I have. And they just wait. Lois, did you just call me a pain in the arse? No, it wasn't me. I wouldn't do such things. Angie says, I think every home is spirit, some shape and form. Doesn't she always? Eric, stop putting me in. So, Brian, see if there was anywhere in this whole entire world you would love to go to, where would you go and where would you want to explore?
Not Ayrshire.
I would recommend Scotland.
Yeah, I've been to Scotland a few times. Dunmore, I've been around Dunmore. I like Dunmore. It's an old mental asylum. Just an old mental asylum where there's been a lot of history and just a lot of bad things that's gone on. You know, a lot of upset and a lot of misery and obviously full of emotions. Well, the building, all the emotions staying on the building, so. It's somewhere where there's just been a lot of emotion and upset, and because that's probably what I prefer, where it's going to be really strong and there's going to be a few there. And if you can help a few, then you help a few. But yeah,
how did you find Ridley? Because for me, it was quite quiet.
What was that?
Ridgely, what do you think of Ridgely? Because I found it quiet.
I think there's a room 13 which I picked up on outside, so we went in there. That was very active, and we did the hallways. We did the main hallways. We didn't really do any more rooms. We just did the main halls, and we seemed to get quite a lot of activity on the halls. And we got whistling as well. Someone whistling and someone moping around, and so I enjoyed Ridley. It's just a little bit too open now, and it's too close to a populated area to do it safely anymore.
It's been battered, unfortunately. Kids have kicked shit out of it. Harping back on what was said earlier, about vandalism and this, that, and the other. That's the problem. And I think that's the reason why me, you, and one or two other people are reluctant to give locations away. As I've said before, if they're public locations, then fine. But when it's a private building like the one that you're doing, and I've been doing, documenting, it's a shame to give that away. And I totally get it, because unless it's to a fellow investigator that's trustworthy, because I did the same thing with a place called Loxley Chapel, and I can mention it now because unfortunately it's lost to it. It was a fantastic place, really, really intact. Everything was in it, down to hymn books, the lot, but totally derelict. Within a month of one person that I thought was trustworthy and wasn't, Sheffield lads have been in and set it alight, and there's no roof on it. It's just a shell, which is a shame. It's a shame. It's lost. It's lost to everybody now that wanted to do an investigation, basically.
Yeah.
And it's
See,
one
I
of
used
many.
to pay.
It's what?
Go on, what was that?
It's a shame. It's just a shame that it's lost to investigating, because it were one of the decent places to go for novices to get an idea of what investigating's about. Because there were two resident spirits in there that were quite happy to interact and scare as well, jokingly, but you needed to investigate a few times to realise that. For a novice, I used to send novices in because I used to like to see the reactions and laugh at them because the faces, they were so genuine. The faces were so genuine. You know, it was a picture to see them, but he's gone. He's gone because set of numpties went in and set fire to it. Thought it was a giggle to set fire to it. It's wrong. Wrong.
That's what you're up against. That's the problem. And there's a castle that I've investigated down this way, and me and a couple other friends in Scottish Paranormal went to this location. Had a good night. It was a good night, good laugh. Problem is, where the castle is situated, it's actually near like houses, and it's full of youngins. Youngins use that one place to sit and drink and everything. So the problem with that investigation, a wee bit of a problem that night, was you could hear the young ones screaming, shouting. You know, they must have knew what we were up to. And they were shouting, "Oh, is there spirits there?" and things like that. But the problem, other with this castle, was you find that obviously you've done it, so somebody else goes in and do it. And I don't know if it was my pal or Scottish Paranormal had took other people in, and one of the guests climbed to the top of the castle and was going to jump for the castle down. And the people that obviously look after the castle got wind of it, and it's now banned all investigators for investigating. And when you're up against things like that, it's a shame, because it's a beautiful building, and I would love to go back to see if I get anything, but it's ruined. It's as Bryce says, it's terrible. You think that you can trust people, and then when they either ruin it for other investigators, or you get ones like Bryce says that you give a location and people are getting in and ruining it.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's very rare now that I give a location out. 2 minutes, guys. I need
battle sites.
That's fine. Right, Terry says he wants to do World War One battle sites. Well, I'm not reading the comments about arses. We've got a lot of comments about arses. Well, don't think he's got a cracking mouth, but he's just an arsehole.
That's what.
It's a sin that people do.
That's what's making me crack. That's what's making me crack me up.
Mark could tell he used to have a writer. I'm not even reading this. It's,
Here's a
It's
good
the-
one.
Did anyone ever do Codney Castle and
no.
the farmhouses? Now that place was amazing, but you can't go anymore, and it's such a shame. And that was the same. People went in and trashed it, and you just can't get in anymore. And the farmhouses were really haunted. The buildings, they sent children up during World War II, and the children were quite badly looked after and abused, and a lot of them died.
Exactly.
And it was such an haunted place. I mean, I went in the farmhouse, and it was a horrible, heavy feeling, and it's probably one of the scariest places I've ever been into. So
Well,
yes, I would have done that again.
Irene's asking you, is there a place that you would not go to that would be dangerous to investigate? Because we have a place here that you just don't touch. She's in Japan.
Nah, I don't think anything will put me off.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I'm like the big. Do you know?
Drop blame.
I investigated. Hi, Wayne. I investigated this place, and let me tell you, the window. I don't know how I fit my fat ass through it, but I managed to get through it. So, gets through this window, goes in and takes pictures. Coming back out the window was a problem. Because, I mean, this window, if I get a picture of it, I'll send you guys. And getting out was a problem more than getting in. So, my friend went out in front of me. So, I went to go out and I put my foot in the wood pallet and it went right through. My pal was trying to yank the wood pallet.
Oh,
And I'm like, shouting,
jeez.
fucking stop, you're going to break my leg. And I ended up, I came out and I put it right through. And the way I went over my ankle. And I actually, you've got to say, did you go to hospital? Well, no, straight away, because I went to another investigation after that one. So, went and did another investigation and my foot ended up, it was swelled right out. So when I went to hospital and they said to me, how did you do it? And I was like, well, I was going through a window to investigate. What were you investigating? Paranormal investigator. Next time she was asking me loads of questions, it was fuck my leg. Let's talk about what was happening.
It happened.
And
I've had that with police a few times when we've been at places, and they've come running in, all intent on catching us druggies, and ended up asking us questions, like you say. It's good
Terry.
night.
Terry, you're terrified to investigate Lois's house. I'll make sure my toys are locked up.
Terry, don't enter the basement. She'll lock it.
Yeah.
No, there is a place. There's a place up Scotland, isn't there? I got a report the other week of a place in Scotland, and it's a cemetery where they've closed it off because there's poltergeist activity and it's quite aggressive.
That's
Greyfriars.
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 It's the
Greyfriars Cemetery.
Yeah, so I am
It's,
planning on
where
going
George
up there.
Mackenzie. Yeah, that's where George Mackenzie is buried.
Yeah.
Bloody George Mackenzie's he's known.
Apparently, somebody was getting scratched virtually every night when they left it open. So they closed it off.
Well, and what's even straight?
Yeah, I know.
Well, and how it even actually all started. How it actually even all started was that it actually happened about 25 years ago, like when this all began. So, like in the late 90s, and it was through an unexpected guest. Corner, what I remember hearing the story was that late at night there was a homeless guy that came to the cemetery looking for a place, to find some shelter because it was raining that night. And he found this tomb that had a stairway. So he opens the door and there's this flight of stairs. He goes downstairs and he fell through like a partition, which was like a wooden covering on the floor of the tomb, and into another smaller room beneath. And the room is filled with bodies. So, we're talking arms, legs, heads, bones, skeletons, everything. and of course scared the hell out of him, caused him to jump out of the tomb, and off he went. But what he didn't realize was that the vagrant had cracked open the tomb of George Mackenzie, whose spirit has been trapped there for well over 3 centuries.
Yeah, nice one.
Lewis's house would any ghost be brave enough, I think.
She's a demon, so no ghost will laugh at all there.
Ian, I told you that in confidence. Don't tell everybody. Fuck's sake. Mark's asking, has there any place made you run? I've never have. That's an open question for everyone.
Not so far. I've had a few places where I've gone, it's time to go. But I've never run out of doing it.
That's respect, though, isn't it, Ian? You know what I mean? The time to go, you go. You don't mean to say that you're scared. You still go back.
When you sense the atmosphere has got that bad, you think, okay, I need to take a break from this.
Yeah, but it's a break. It's a break.
Sarah Louise seems like she knew. She said she was about to say. I guess she was going to say almost the same exact thing, about Greyfriars. So yeah, it's been a while, but I've done my homework on Greyfriars and Bloody George Mackenzie.
I think for me,
sorry, go on.
I've got quite a few local things near me. I've got 12th century demon church. It's billed as. It's not, obviously, but it's a place where worshipping's being done. And the church back in there, they didn't stand for anything like that. So they just discommunicated and shut the place down. But because the building's listed, it stood the test of time. Well, part of it has, and it's just kept the stigma. And that's the problem with places. They keep the stigma. But in actual fact, it's got the prominent family, the whole lot of the family buried in that churchyard. Yeah. With all that stigma. And people still go and visit. It's got a little catacomb. It's no bigger than this room, the church. It's very small, but it's got a lot of prestige involved and a history to it. 12th century, for God's sake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some fantastic places, absolutely fantastic. I chuck a stone at them. They need doing more. They need publicising. Oh, there you go. Said something I shouldn't.
The Paris Catacomb. I would love to go there myself. I think the only place I've ever been scared of, I would say, is the power station in Auchinleck. And to get into this power station, I went with Baldy, if he's still in the chat. And me, Baldy, Robbie, and Laura. I'm actually feared to see the comments. I thought you was making a cheeky comment there. So we went, and honestly, it was like Blair Witch. It was like really creepy. And where the power station is, it's in the middle of the woods. And I just felt so uneasy. And that's the only time I would ever say I'd want to leave a place. But I want to go back, as Bryce says, as much as you've got that fear, you've also got that bit that goes, no, I actually want to do this.
Yeah, because if you've had any sort of banter whatsoever with spirits, you've got to go back and carry that banter on. Otherwise, they lose faith in people. They lose faith in the ability to communicate. So you need to keep that going for them to carry on communicating.
That would be a good one, Annette. Annette says, if I had...
I was just about to say the Coliseum, that is definitely a very... There's, to this day, I'm actually going to tell you guys this. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there has only ever been like one true like paranormal show that ever did kind of an investigation at the Coliseum. That was over 20 years ago on Scariest Place on Earth. As far as I know, there was Yeah, it was the only time it was ever investigated. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly. I didn't even know that. One of the tour guides at Greyfriars at the entrance died of fear, had a heart attack.
Mm.
I don't know if
didn't
it's the
know
same
that one.
person, but there was actually an exorcist that went into Greyfriars again, like 20 years ago, to basically exorcise and get rid of Bloody George Mackenzie and whatever other negative entities that were in the cemetery. At first, it seemed like it worked because they were able to resume the tours. And again, ironically enough, this too was also featured on a segment of Scariest Places on Earth. They filmed it. They were there. And then all of a sudden, one of the not the tour guides, but one of the guests that was there, I think she tripped over something. I wasn't sure if she got scratched, but it was obvious she had been attacked. And since that day to this, that's when they closed up the tours at the cemetery because they thought it was they thought it was the end, but they actually even tried one final time to open it because that exorcist that performed it at the cemetery, he died a few days later. So I'm not sure if it's the same person. So his son, who was also a priest, actually tried finishing the job, but that too didn't work. So even though that they've done exorcisms and blessings in Greyfriars, it hasn't changed the least bit. I mean, if it's George Mackenzie or whatever else, it refuses to give up.
I've got a theory about that, Nick, actually. I don't think anybody's even mentioned it, but it depends on denomination for me, because you can do an exorcism of a spirit, one thing or another, but unless they enter into that contract with you, you are not going to get rid of them. Because if you're trying to get rid of something as a Catholic, and the spirit is C of E, just as an example, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to say, "Shut off." And I find that. I do find that.
Also, we're doing private cases. You have to take the people in the house's beliefs as well.
Yeah.
Because if they don't believe it's going to work, then it ain't going to.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I think there might be a copy of one of those of that segment of Scariest Places on Earth when they filmed it. So if I find the videos, if you guys want to check them out, I'll send them to you guys so that way you guys can see exactly what exactly happened. Yeah.
You said there's that. We'll say Mackenzie. We'll pass
definitely.
We send these two out to Chicago for you, Nick. Don't worry.
Brian, definitely, if you come back up to Scotland, definitely check out Lennox Castle. That I would highly suggest that one because I would love to know if you get the same feeling as I when you're up there. It's unbelievable.
Brian, she's trying to get in dungeon.
That's what I want. I want you to come to Scotland so that I can.
Oh my God!
Show you.
Hey,
I love Scotland.
Hey, Jim.
This is seriously surprised. Great to see you here.
See, she would rather watch me than Baldy.
This is like the first time I've actually seen her watch. I mean, on this show. I mean, just any of the shows I've been involved with. I mean, I've seen her on Scott's, but no, it's awesome.
I feel honoured then. Jem, watch us. Fuck Baldy. Not that I'm trying to cost them any.
Well, you know what? She's
also,
Well, one other thing. She's also on another network that I'm a part of. She's also on BB3 TV with me.
I've never checked that network out. I'll check it out, my lovely. Right. I don't know what's wrong with the comments tonight. They're awful slow. I says there's an island that you have to take a ship out to here, which is loaded with human bones, and there's no plane transport, but the bones are all over the sand, and there's a retrieval process from World War II. It's a resort island, but I bet it's haunted. Sarah Louise says, I used to drive a truck that was either cursed or haunted. It was involved in a fatal accident, killed the driver, repaired second driver was involved in a near fatal. An 18-year-old was lucky
wow.
to survive, and then I had the truck and I was involved in an accident in the motorway. Luckily, no one was up too serious. The truck was sold no long.
Didn't call it
Um,
Christian, did
I hope that truck wasn't my uncle's old truck, because that's what happened to him.
Yeah, the attacks all took place in Covenanters
He was killed in a lorry accident.
prison. Yeah,
The Mackenzie Poltergeist was a name made up by Jan Henderson for his book on the Black Museum. Love to see it, Nick. Nick, let's go to
Okinawa. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Now you're
Okinawa.
talking. Now you're
Um,
talking.
And
Scott,
Scott does make a
Miyagi.
good point. Yeah, there is, in spite of what they say, there is no recorded evidence to date that George Mackenzie still roams, but, you know, that could change over time. I'm not entirely sure, at least from the documentary, because, again, it was from 20 years ago. That's what they said. What's up, Kate? Good to see you.
truck was called Lois. Sorry, mate.
Jem said too, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh, Lord, Scott, I don't blame you, Jem.
we can always send Lois to the crypt to see if Mackenzie's still in there.
Well, here's one for you. Did
That's
you
because
know?
of my dead kid. Even
Did you know that the practice of hung, draw, and quarter was actually, there were a reason for it, and that was to stop the spirit of the person inhabiting a certain place. They believed that if they took the body apart and sent it to four corners of earth, basically, they couldn't haunt anyone where in particular. That's the reason for it.
I do not stop you, Scott. It's not my fault that you're everywhere. I mean, you have been around that block a few times.
Well, I should probably let Jem know about this. I mean, she's not the only one, of course, watching from Australia, because we got someone else, Kelly, who's also from Australia. Jem, she's up, obviously, probably around that same period. So don't feel like you're the only one who's up early.
I feel sorry for Brian, because he probably wants to paracetamol after this show tonight. So Brian,
Well, I'm enjoying it.
you enjoyed it. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back?
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's different, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Lois, Scott, just wanted to be talking with you. Thanks very much, darling. Us chicks stay together. Lois is always on panels of the shows that I watch. It's creepy. I just want to piss you off. The day that William was taken to London for a history thing. So, what's your plans like now, Brian? Have you got any more investigations coming up?
Yes, I might tomorrow. I've just booked myself to go to Graiseley Old Hall, which is in Wolverhampton.
Awesome.
So I'm going to be going there on my own as usual. It's going to be a lone investigation. And then I'm going down Wales. There's quite a lot of old buildings down Wales, a lot of farmhouses where all the possessions are still there. So I feel that they're going to have an attachment to the place and they're going to be there. There's one place I've done before, and I've seen loads of letters, and it's such a sad story. It was a dream to move down Wales and own a little farmhouse, and she got really poorly, and she didn't end up finishing the house before she passed away. So I'm going to be going down there again, and I might go to 30 East Drive. I don't know why, but I don't particularly like 30 East Drive, but I feel if I went on my own, I might stand a chance. But
well, it's one of them places, Brian, that it is active. It's definitely active, but certain times of year. And now is not the time. You've just missed it. Actually, August is the most active time.
So yeah,
it's on your doorstep. It's 20 minutes away from me, Brian. So
So that's my plans up until Christmas, and just get out and find some new places and see how I feel, and just continue with my spiritual journey at Spiritualist Church and in the circles, and just keep developing myself and pick. You know, I always get houses, but a lot of them do come from the Spiritualist Church because they come from all over UK, and you know they ring up, well, do you know anyone who knows how my house is haunted? So, and then they contact me, and then I contact them. But I find a lot of them, it is environmental conditions. The house isn't actually haunted. It's dodgy electrics. Things keep popping. Things turning on. There were a woman down in London. The banging was she had rats in her walls, and there were trees banging against side, and she kept ringing me up, and I went, well, I'll come down. I said, but just keep this log. And every time she sent me a log, I went, well, just go and look here and just go and check that and get an electrician in. And so I didn't need to go down. Eventually, electrics were absolutely shot, and there were vermin living in the walls, and that's what all the scratching were and the banging. Yeah. So
it just shows you, like, that it could be anything.
Very few places are haunted homes, and it's all down to the individuals. Is it a rented property? Do they have children going through puberty? That's a massive one, a really big one. Any girls going through puberty, that really attracts spirit. And the environment.
Yeah, autistic kids is another one.
Yeah, well, my daughter's autistic, so yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I'm actually autistic myself.
Home hauntings, it's mainly down to the people, how they live in. You know, has someone passed over? Are they having a bad time? Is it time? Is the turmoil in the life? When did the activity start? And then you've got to try and figure out why it started. And it, like I said, it is usually down to one person in the house. If it is proper paranormal activity, it's always aimed at one person, and it's usually the weakest person in the house.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on ley lines, Brian?
I do believe in ley lines. I think most churches are built on ley lines, aren't they?
Yeah.
Or near ley lines. I think ley lines, it's the Earth's natural way talking to itself. It's the Earth's electromagnetic field moving about. So I do believe in ley lines, and I think if you live on a ley line, then you're going to have a strong electromagnetic field where you live, which is spirit energy, isn't it? So
so you believe in
James asking, is that you've already go through teams, but can you go through them so I can go and have a stalk? If you want to stalk me, it's fine.
She means what?
I'm from LH Witchy Paranormal.
Yeah.
It's all right. I know she meant stalk at first.
Yeah. I'm from residential.
What I'll do is, Jem, what I could do for you, Jem, is I can PM you after the show and give you the list. Don't stalk, that's illegal here. Lois already got. How did you know that I was stalking Ian?
Yeah, she kidnapped as well. That was the problem.
Yeah, look under kidnapped.
It's amazing how me, Brian, Nick look like we're in 3 different places, but we're actually about 4 foot away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she's still going to do
That's what I did. Do you know what? I put you in different rooms just to make it look like you are actually somewhere.
You promised us gin nuts and we're still in room.
Yeah.
Why don't you just give me your shopping list while you're here?
Yeah, I mean, I know Hansel and Gretel
just
got
look in
away,
the dungeon. Oh, here's a really good question of what. Yeah, Irene, just would volcanoes have magnetic energy that creates spirit activity? That's a really good question, actually.
That is really
well.
Yeah. Lois, can you go and investigate a volcano, please?
And the answer is quite simple, really. And again, it works on frequencies. So yes. Yeah. anything that's giving a frequency off, if it's closely related to that spirit band, yeah, there's going to be activity.
Yeah.
Storms
And
is
this
a
is why what is it now? Vesuvius, is it? But no, Pompeii. That's why Pompeii, the site of Pompeii, is still to this day very active
Yeah.
because of the frequency
Well,
that it's
we
giving
even
off.
have we actually have a full display that we're currently putting up. Well, that they're currently putting up at the Museum of Science and Industry here in downtown Chicago, and I think they even made like a film out of it. But they got like a full display of Pompeii on one section of the museum that we have.
Yeah.
See, I know a cave which must be hundreds of years old, must be connected to the Welsh kings and local lords. They are figgies in their cyclops, which is about 6 feet tall, aligned with wings. Skeleton, which what I call purgatory, a monk with no head, a circular meeting place. Well haunted. I've never heard of any of that before.
No.
Is it called the Monk's Cave?
Yeah, it sounds.
Now I can see why Irene's saying, yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking too. She was probably mentioning about the suicide forest, which is at the base of Mount Fuji, and indeed, and it's Mount Fuji is a live active volcano. But and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Irene. It hasn't, surprisingly though, it hasn't had a major eruption. I think it's since like 1707, I think. But they did say that it's likely to erupt again in the very near future. So we're talking well over 300 years since the last major eruption. But the suicide forest is right on the base of the mountain.
Yeah, it's leaked a few times, but it's not erupted. It's leaked. That's the only way to
it's had some.
Said
it's had some
minor
plumes,
leaks,
but again, there hasn't been a major eruption since 1707.
No. But it's all down to frequencies. All down to frequencies. And I believe that anything that gives a frequency off that hits that spiritual level, you're going to get activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think storms as well.
They're actually saying
storms,
oh, yeah.
You know, you go investigating like on a stormy night, it's always very active, always active.
Yeah.
Definitely.
See, we got an active volcano. We have an I'm sorry.
No, you go.
We have an active volcano. We do have an active volcano ourselves. I mean, it's nowhere, of course, near where I'm at, so it's not a major threat, but it could eventually still affect the U.S., which is we have Mount Rainier, which is located up in Washington, and they're actually saying that's one of the most active, if not one of the most dangerous volcanoes to erupt, because it's said to, it should be, I mean, they're saying it's close to erupting soon, but in spite that it hasn't, it has triggered a full amount of energy throughout the area, especially near Seattle, because it's right next to the Seattle, Washington area. So imagine the amount of energy that it's been giving off to a lot of these locations nearby.
Yeah, it's same with hurricanes and tornadoes. On the inside edge of the eye of the storm, that's where the most activity and things happen. That's where most people feel heightened senses and everything. And again, it's all to do with frequency that it's creating due to its velocity.
Yeah, frequencies and vibrations. That's why people, they go to the same location and they can experience different things, because it's all about connecting to the vibrations of the frequencies of the place. The people have experiences in the same location.
See, now everyone's saying also about Yellowstone. Yeah, Yellowstone, they're saying that too is overdue for an eruption, although I don't know if it would really affect much of the entire planet, but it would certainly affect well over a good portion of North America. I mean, they said if that volcano erupted, 6 of our states would no longer exist. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure our area would be fine, but the problem is you would have to worry about, as far as Yellowstone, is the ash that would fill up the entire atmosphere, which would be deadly. So,
Yeah.
and they even said, even it's such an eruption, because it's a super volcano, as they call it, they said it would erupt so powerfully that it would almost have like supernatural strength, because it's just like unlike anything most people have ever experienced before. I mean, North America, not just the U.S., the entire continent would definitely be in a lot of trouble, a lot of danger.
Yeah, they estimated his power at being the same power as like 6 atomic bombs. So,
oh yeah, it probably even more than that.
Thinkable, is it? Yeah, it's just not thinkable, is it? Really?
That isn't.
Yeah,
But I want to just
they are monitoring it though.
Exactly.
No, I'm saying they are monitoring it. So as far as we know, right now things are quiet, other than the geysers that they have. But other than that, they've been keeping an eye on it. And if they start assuming that things start increasing, that's when we need to be nervous. That's just the bottom line.
Somebody's got a beeping going off. I can hear a beeping. Boop, boop.
I can hear the beeping as well, but I don't know where it's coming from. But I just want to thank.
Yep, there it is again.
Brian for coming in tonight. I know I can hear it, but I really don't know where it's coming from.
It's not me. It's not me. I'm sleeping. And thank you.
It's not my side. I'm in my office.
Maybe one of Louis gadgets.
Aye, it's my timer. You like use it at the basement, but see for your cheeky night, I'm just fucking leaving you in there.
Right, that gadget's got a V8 engine.
Right, you cheeky devil. I'll come here to protect you. But definitely, I just want to thank you, Brian, and definitely you're more welcome to come on again at some point whenever you can.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. It's been lovely meeting you all. I've had fun. I've been nervous all day.
I'm sorry.
I won't do this. You know what I mean? I'm a really quiet bloke.
Listen, there's honestly nothing to be nervous about. Knowing this show, we're just so laid back for horizontal.
The most nervous one on this show is Lois, and that's the truth.
I'm only nervous when it comes to depending on who I'm not.
Yeah.
Nah, depending who it is. My vibe. Apparently, it's my vibrator, Black and Decker. Oh my god. That's turn on. Oh, aye. I've got an upfield bump. That's what it is. I forgot to turn it off. But thank you, Brian, very much.
That, you're right.
Definitely. But yeah, definitely. So next week, guys, the boys are getting chucked out. Yeah, our ladies' night next week. Yay! So
I could pretty much see right now. I can already see right now that Ian and probably Ian more likely probably going to be coming in anyway. Probably like wearing a wig or something.
You know, I'm half expecting to look down and there's Ian with the blonde wig and the big tits trying to come on. No chance. But yeah, guys, join us next week. Definitely next week, guys. It's ladies' night. It will be a good night. Thursday, me, Nick, and Grizzly are looking at the case of Jill Dando. So it'll be an interesting one in the new findings that are coming to light over this case. So tune in, guys, and we'll see you over the weekend. Well, next week. Bye. Are we having a stripper on? Ian, do you want to come on and be a stripper?
Yeah.
You can come and do the show if you get your clothes off. Michael!